Vampire Crawlers is a game that is all about building crazy combos and absolutely destroying your opponents. It starts out pretty easy, but then there are some difficulty jumps. So, if you got stuck or you just need a little help, I've put together a complete beginner's guide that starts by talking about the game's various metaprogression systems. Then, I'm going to jump into a run, talk through some of my gameplay, give you a few examples. This is mostly focused on the early game, and if you want to know even more, I'm going to wrap everything up with some tips and tricks that I've learned, completing the game, and unlocking everything. And so, with that out of the way, let's get right into it. So first off, we have the power-up shop. This is where you get stronger. And if you've played Vampire Survivors, yes, this is going to look a little bit familiar. Now, not all of these are going to be available initially. Certain ones, like the crawler slot, unlock much later, whereas things like armor are available from the start. Also, you might notice this little active. That's for if you want to toggle on or off. Why might you want to toggle it off? Well, some crawler strategies actually get punished for duration, so you might want to turn this off with certain decks. Also, if you want to make the game harder, you can start turning things off, like armor, area, amount, which is extra projectiles and therefore damage. Yeah, it's self-made hard mode. As you buy unlocks, the cost increases. So right now, Banish is at 322. I click this again, it's up to 324. This means you want to buy the most expensive thing that you're going to invest in first. At the start, that's probably going to be armor. This is a very powerful passive. It's also going to be very expensive. So you might spend your first 1,000 or so coins after unlocking crawlers on armor. Then you have a little bit left over. Maybe you put that into something like greed or growth. Growth will give you more EXP, and greed will give you more coins, thus more unlocks. Now, the next system you're going to encounter very quickly are crawlers. That's right, you get to play all sorts of different crawlers. They have 3 different effects you need to keep in mind. The first is what happens when you play them. So for Antonio, when you play him directly, you gain 3 armor. Once you play a crawler, they're active for a duration. This is the secondary effect. So while Antonio is active, damage is increased by 10% every time a red card is played. More duration means more activations before you can replay him. Last but not least, each crawler has their own unique deck. Antonio's is focused on whips, whereas Imelda's is focused on wands. And if you're wondering, hey, doesn't Imelda look pretty good? Yes, gaining EXP and EXP growth is quite nice. Another early crawler that's very good in my experience is Poe. You gain area when he's played directly, that's only alright, but you draw a card whenever a blue card, basically an armor card, is played, and he has Garlic, which is a really nice early game weapon. Not the best for damage, but very good for preventing you from taking damage. As you go through the game, you will unlock a whole bunch more crawlers, including a lot of familiar faces from Vampire Survivors, some of which are very OP. Now, another system that you're likely to encounter very quickly is Arcana. You choose an Arcana at the start of a run, and you gain its active effect. So, Mana Siphon, very powerful. It increases your mana, i.e. the mana you gain at the start of every turn, for every 100 cards you play. I know 100 sounds like a lot. Trust me, as you get some investment into card draw and mana, you're going to be playing 100 plus cards a turn like it's nothing. Another really cool one, Chain Link. Combos don't clear between turns, so you can take your combo into the next turn. Then there's the Blacksmith. This unlocks a little bit later because you need to first find the Stardust Anvil on the Teeny Bridge, the game's 3rd zone, and for the jewelry section, the Lapidary Loop at Gallow Tower, the game's 6th zone. At the Blacksmith, you can spend your gold to add gem sockets to all of your cards. Why might you want to do this? Because gems have all sorts of cool effects. As you can see, I've unlocked most of these, but just for the sake of demonstration here, that's how you add a gem socket to a card. And now I could put a gem in the bracelet. Obviously, some cards start with gem sockets. Tomes are a very good example of this, making them an excellent early game choice. Also, they provide mana. But later on, you'll be able to put pretty much as many gems as you want in most things. And how do you control your gems? Well, you control them from the jeweler. There's a couple things you can do here. The first of which is you can decrease or increase rarity. This is already ultra rare, so I can only decrease it. I cannot increase the rarity. Now, if I go down to something like Might here, a common gem, I can either decrease or increase the rarity. If I increase the rarity, that means it shows up less frequently. Whereas if I decrease the rarity, that means it shows up more frequently. Sort of. Certain chests, like those from bosses, actually do prioritize rarer gems, so sometimes commons aren't going to be what you want to maximize. Now, last up, for certain gems, you might want to seal them. If you click the seal button here, then the gem does not show up at all, which I did for the mild gem because I personally haven't found any uses for it. I suppose there's probably a strategy out there, but at least for now, I like my combo. Combos are really fun. Alright, so I'm going to start a run in the Berserk Wood and talk you through some of my early game decision making. And the very first thing, before you even move, attack an enemy, anything, is look at the path, what's on offer, and how you can get there. So for example, if I immediately turn right, I go through 1, 2, 3 enemies, then I get a question mark, another enemy, that's 4, I get the chest, another enemy, that's 5. I have to fight 5 mandatory encounters before I get to the boss. On the other hand, if I move up a space, then I go right, I get the treasure chest immediately, that's power bump via gem, and I only have to fight 1 other enemy. Though I probably want to fight this one and see what that question mark is, as one of these is very likely to either be a mana statue, and mana is quite impactful in the early game, or an evolution statue, and an evolved card early can be the difference between success and failure of a first boss. Before I do though, I'm going to bonk the scenery a bit, because I might be able to get some nice bonuses. Like that might. Here we go, combat. So I've drawn 2 garlic, armor, and candle. Armor provides defense. Right now I have 1 passive armor for my power-up, 6 damage incoming, so I will lose 5 health. By doing this, I will now lose 3 health if nothing else changes. I probably should have played the candle first. That was a slight misplay because I was talking instead of thinking. Then I will combo it with the garlic. I've killed some enemies, so I'll level up, and I'm going to grab a whip. Now, because the whip is new, it's free. Because it's 0 cost, it's also free. I have 2 combo. If I had a 2-cost card, I could combo it. Instead, I'm just going to play the candle, give myself some area damage, then play the whip. All the enemy damage is now mitigated. Play the garlic, finish some stuff off, and none of these are super important, but I'm going to grab a magic wand. It's a little extra damage. Alright, I got my Crawler Poe. He gives area damage in when I play blue cards. Now, I'll draw a card, at least until I've drawn 3 cards. I'll then combo it into garlic, and that should kill the enemies. As a note, you will not get that overkill trigger normally. That is because I've completed the game and I have high-level relics. I did nerf myself when it comes to power-ups, but there's certain things that you can't really turn off, like card unlocks. It's also why a bunch of my cards have extra sockets. I'm just going to try to avoid using as much VOP stuff. Because I unlock the chest, I can either put a draw gem in my card, a luck gem, or a call crawler, which you, again, probably won't have. It's a higher level thing. Draw is very, very powerful, but early on your sockets are going to be quite limited. You're not going to have like multiple sockets in a lot of these cards. So you'd have to think about, do I want to put this in one of my weapons and not evolve the card, or do I want to cash it out and get 200 coins that I can then use? For something like draw, personally, I would put it in the weapon. It's very powerful, especially since with 2 copies of garlic, I don't need both of them to evolve. Next up, I'm going to fight this guy, give myself as many options as possible. Candle into garlic, drew the extra card. Now I'm going to put up armor. This way, even if I ended my turn right now, I would not take any damage. Since it was a blue card, I also drew another card. So I can use the whip. I can get a light tome, which is really good because this is a purple card that gives mana. Bolster my mana, play the magic wand, play the garlic. And this is why going to question marks pays off. You break this weird rock, and you either get a mana statue or an evolution statue. This is the evolution statue. So I can sacrifice that tome I just picked up along with my magic wand, and I get the Holy Wand, which is far more powerful with 160 base damage. Let's go get the other question mark now. Here we go. It's a little guy. You mash your deck button, and you get some EXP. And oh look, an empty tome for additional mana. Now from here, I have 2 options. Option 1, I could just go fight a boss. You know what? I have a Holy Wand, evolved weapon. I'm feeling pretty strong, I can do that. But if I was feeling weak, like I needed some more levels, or I simply wanted to farm extra coins, I'd totally fight one of the dudes here, because that's more opportunities to level up in a relatively safe environment. Also, because I broke a light source, I got a big coin bag. This is a wild card. So if I did something like Candle into Garlic, I could now play the big coin bag, and it would continue my combo, allowing me to play another zero-cost card. Not really worth it at the moment, though, because after all, I still don't have mana to play the Holy Wand. But look, Empty Tome, it is a zero-cost mana card, so I can do add 1 mana. Duplicator, this adds Amount, which increases the number of projectiles attacks fire. Armor card, also Poe draws thing. Candle, Garlic. And I'm going to grab the King Bible, which is really good because it provides knockback. This is another defensive keyword. Also, unlike the Garlic, it actually hits decently hard. Now here, I'm going to play Poe for the area damage. I could combo either Garlic or Duplicator, but I want to use the Holy Wand. So instead, I'm just going to fire it off here. Now on the boss itself. The boss is trying to take defensive action, so now is a good time to just hit it hard. Oh look, the perfect card to hit it hard. Candle, the boss is trying to kill me, so I want to use something like the Garlic or the King Bible to give myself some defense. If it was taking defensive action, I'd probably cast the Duplicator instead to buff my damage. There we go, I've knocked it back, so now I can safely buff with the Duplicator. Empty Tome, Garlic, draw a card, and you know what? I'm going to use the big coin bag here, because the boss is not going to do anything, but I can give myself a big old buff, so now my Garlic is hitting significantly harder. Any other offensive cards I play will also hit harder. Example, Whip, King Bible. And that's how you kill the boss. After that, you get a boss chest, which is very likely to contain a high rarity gem. In this case, I think I'm going to grab a Restore Health and put it in one of my King Bibles. Again, I could evolve that into Unholy Vespers, but first of all, early on, you might not have the card you need to evolve it. Second of all, again, you probably don't need 2 evolutions because evolutions are limited. From here, I could either farm out the level more or descend to the next floor. Then from here, you repeat until you get to the final level. Again, watch out for stuff on the map. Here, we've got a special event. This means a rare chest. It is very likely to contain an evolution. It's also going to be a boss fight. So, if you are not ready for that, avoid it. If you are ready for that, absolutely go for it. That also means the best path, up and to the right, that's 1 fight, 2 fights, 3 fights to the boss, and for an optional 4th fight, you can get the evolution. As a note, on your way down, look out for this symbol. This means you can find a coffin, and a coffin means a new character unlock. On the Mad Forest 3, this is Pugnala Provola, who is one of the best crawlers to use in the early game, and arguably one of the best crawlers to use, period. When you interact with it, you fight a bunch of skeletons. This is going to be tough, think of it as a boss fight, but remember, you can use effects like your knockback. Also, this is probably a good time to pop some wild cards. So I use Vacuum, my combo continues, and because my combo continues, I will gain 6 mana from the Light Tome, or 3 projectiles from Duplicator. Since I'm not going to be able to do anything with the mana anyway, might as well get the projectiles. I'll take a little bit of damage, but I can end my turn. And oh look, 1, 2, 3. Well, 0, 1, 2 technically. Here we are at the 3rd boss, and I want to talk about a couple things. First up, I now have 5 mana. How did that happen? Well, throughout the run, I've been playing cards, and remember, plus 1 mana for every 100 cards played. Also, I found a mana shrine on this level. Again, exploration's good. Also, I got to evolve another of my cards, so now I can go Armor, King Bible or Duplicator. Because it's early in a fight and I'm feeling pretty confident in my ability to kill this wave of foes, I'm actually going to go Duplicator. This buffs my damage. And now, as you can see, Cross is going to pretty much wipe out that first wave. I've got a little bit more mana left. I'm just going to go straight to the Holy Wand. I don't need recovery, I'm already at full health. I don't need the knockback, they can't hit me. Might as well get in the extra damage. My turn ends, and I drew all of my mana cards. A little bit unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. So I play that out. I still kill most of the wave. It's totally fine. Now, Candle, King Bible, Soul Eater. This disarms, and it heals. And you know what, just for fun, let's keep this combo going. There we go. Magic Wand usually doesn't combo into anything because it's a 0 cost, but it did because we used the wild card. That was not really an optimal play, it was just for fun. Instead, Candle, Garlic, drawing a card, Weighty Tome. bunch of mana, play everything, take a little damage. Magic Wand, King Bible, don't need a knockback, but might as well. Then deal some damage before finishing things off with another King Bible. And from here, it's pretty much just going to be rinse and repeat until the boss is dead. Hand like this, absolutely perfect. Empty Tome, Duplicator for extra damage, Holy Wand, and then a buffed Soul Eater. And so yeah, that's the basics of navigating an area, building a deck, and of course, sequencing to maximize your damage and effects with combo. Remember, combo does not just affect your damage, it also affects things like your mana. Alright, so now for some tips and tricks. Some of these are just good to know, others mistakes to avoid because I've been there and it's not too fun. The first of which is, build on a curve, because comboing is the most powerful multiplier in the game. It scales your damage, your armor, your card draw, your mana gain, your stats, and so much more. Early on, like you saw from the gameplay demonstration, combo options are limited. 0, 1, 2, maybe 0, 1, 2, 3. If you get really lucky, 0, 1, 2, 3, wildcard 0, 1. But later on, especially as you get wildcards which aren't destroyed after a single use, you can keep the combo going further, stacking up multiple. At higher combo, your Attract Orb is going to draw your entire hand. An armor card might give you 20 armor. Health might give you 30 health, which lets you survive a lot of stuff. Never mind all the damage that just melts through enemies. Remember, you can also use combo to build your stats and set up for a future turn. Like you saw in the gameplay example, at one point I used Duplicator with the combo effect so that I'd do more damage in all subsequent turns even though it didn't help me that much in the moment. The same thing can be done with Might or Greed, whereas Greed sets you up for the rest of a run, giving you more gold. Might sets you up for the next turn by adding a damage boost. As a bonus tip, this might get patched, but right now, Combo Chain is an incredibly powerful arcana, because you can end your turn to fish for a wild card and keep that combo going. The main competition, in my opinion, is Mana Siphon, which builds up mana as you play cards and is also very OP. But you do need to get a high combo to get Combo Chain in the first place. How do you do that? Grab a bunch of wild cards, grab some draw, keep your combo going for as long as you can. Now tip number 2, socket your gems carefully. Most weapons start with one socket. Later on, you can change this by adding more of a blacksmith. But until you do, you need to decide, do you want to socket a gem in your weapon to increase its power now, or do you want to evolve it later? The number of evolution gems you get within a run are limited. Not every weapon can evolve. So you can put high value gems, like double damage, in things like a second copy of a weapon, or a weapon that you don't plan to evolve anyway. Something else to keep in mind, combo does not scale gem effects. So you can socket a very powerful gem, something that gives you recovery, card draw, etc., in a zero cost card, and there's no downside to that. For a couple examples of this, the Midas gem gives you gold whenever you play another card. You can put this in something that's going to sit in your hand, maybe a high mana cost card. The Coin Count gem deals damage equal to how many coins you have in that run. And yes, that is exactly as broken as you think. You can get damage of the tens, hundreds of thousands, even millions if you try hard enough. Similarly, you can put Echo on a zero cost card. So you go through a full combo chain, then you play the Echo card, and you're basically getting your highest mana cost card again, but for free. Also, as a bonus tip here, again, something that kind of feels like a bug and might get patched, the Replay gem doesn't actually trigger combo for the next count until you play the card for a second time. But if you use the Copy gem instead, both versions contribute to your combo as they normally would. So it does mean you have to cycle the whole thing back around with a wild card to get the full benefit. Tip 3, Power Up, because unlocking power-ups is a key part of progressing. There are many ways to do this, but I found the most successful thing to do early on, armor first. After that, as much as I can into growth and greed. Growth is more EXP means more cards in my deck. Greed is more coins means more unlocks. After that, I'd put a little bit into max health, it's relatively cheap, definitely protects against attrition, a little in recovery. Why armor over recovery? Well, armor mitigates 1 damage per turn. Recovery mitigates 1 damage per encounter, so armor is exponentially more powerful. Then last up, Might, because Might is relatively cheap and I need some use for spare gold. Tip 4, unlock OP new crawlers. As you progress, it is natural to hit walls. The first is likely to be the Teeny Bridge, where the game throws a whole bunch of enemies at you and upgrades are relatively scarce. If you run into a wall here, don't worry. Just go back, go to a Force 3. Maybe you have to do Force 2 if you haven't unlocked it yet. And look for that coffin, because this is how you get Pugnala Prevola, who is one of the strongest crawlers in the game. She has a powerful weapon combo. You can basically go 0, 1, 2, 3, just based off her starting deck. And she gives you might, which is really strong. In addition, crawlers that have card draw effects, very nice to have, especially early on. Tip number 5, temporary versus permanent stats. Now this refers specifically to stats you gain from cards within your run, because not all stat buffs work the same. Some stats, like amount, might, area, they are only boosted for the duration of the fight. If you kill the enemy, these stats reset. Similarly, armor only applies until the end of a turn. However, stats like growth, greed, luck, and curse work differently. Any boosts from these remain for the rest of the run. So if you have one of those cards and you have some spare mana, play it. You can save that advantage for later. It's especially nice if you want to farm gold, and you can use Gallo to do it, because he has a massive greed bonus every time you play him and off of yellow card triggers. Also, when building your deck, look for things like mana, card draw, hand size, and wild cards. All of these make it easier to build combos, which means you'll have more stats. As a bonus tip, you can use the vending machines to turn temporary buffs into permanent ones. If you sacrifice a might card, you will have that might for the rest of a run. Tip number 6, read your cards. I know. Reading and gaming, not exactly something that usually goes together unless we're talking visual novel fans. Shout out to all the visual novel fans. But you should spend some time reading your weapon cards, because in addition to dealing damage, many of them have keywords like disarm or knockback, and early on these are both lifesavers. Disarm means the target loses their attack, preventing damage. Knockback pushes the enemy to a prior row, preventing damage from melee attacks. Just as a note, as you fight more powerful bosses in the late game, this might not always work. They get resistance to things like knockback and disarm, but at least right now, you can freeze them and that will always skip their attack. Also keep in mind, some cards, like the birds and Santa Water, deal damage at the end of a turn. This might take out a few extra foes, saving your health, because having armor is all well and good, it mitigates damage. Having healing and recovery to restore your health is also good, but not taking damage in the first place, that's even better. Tip number 7, control your deck size. Yes, there is such a thing as too big. Every time you level up, you get a new card. At first, this is great because you get more tools. Later on, especially if you gain more draw effects, your deck can become very unwieldy. When you have 30 or 40 cards, it's generally hard to navigate between them. But there's a few things you can do to make sure your deck isn't too big. First, use the skip power. This gives you some EXP instead of a card. Alternatively, if one of the cards on offer is something you don't want at all, use the banish power. This not only skips the selection, but the banished card won't be offered for the remainder of a run. Oh, and sometimes you're offered gems instead of cards. Picking this up doesn't expand your deck, meaning you're more likely to draw some of your best cards. Tip number 8, be careful when going infinite, because going infinite in card games is always fun. But if you infinity too close to the sun in Vampire Crawlers, repeatedly playing the same cards over and over and over with a turn, you might notice cracks forming. And this is your warning to stop. At least stop playing those cards and end your turn, because if you keep playing them, the cards will permanently break, gone for the run, and a trickster, a purple death, will spawn. Since one trickster spawns for each card you break, this can easily bring your run to a close. Keep in mind the trickster is a strong foe, and it hits very hard, but it's not immortal. If you have enough damage, especially if you have a Clock Lancet, or 2, to stun it and skip its turns, you can kill it. And the same for the Red Death. If you kill either of them, you unlock Missing No, the most OP crawler that turns pretty much every run into a free win. Do you want to see more on the intricacies of how this works? Well, let me know. Also, get subscribed, that way you won't miss it, and hey, you've made it this far in the video, you're probably enjoying it, be sure to leave a like. As a bonus tip, if your deck's strong enough and you know what you're doing, you can intentionally do this and break your cards to remove them from your deck. Tip number 9, watch boss patterns. Early on, enemy patterns are very simple. They get a turn, then you get a turn. Everyone takes turns and it alternates. But later on, when you start noticing the eye symbol appear above enemies, things start to get a little bit less straightforward, because now the boss gets a turn whenever that symbol fills. So, if a boss has 6 eye symbols above it, that means for every 6 cards you play, it gets a turn. If it has 3, for every 3 cards you play, it gets a turn, really ramping that difficulty up. This also means simply playing a bunch of cards to build combo is not necessarily the optimal approach. It can be very successful. And if you have enough defenses, things like armor, it can absolutely work out for you. But if you're vulnerable, you might just be giving the boss an extra turn, and instead it could be better to unload by playing a wild card into one of your strongest cards, or using the Clock Lancet to skip the boss's turn right when it hits that 3rd or 6th eyeball. Tip number 10, last but not least, don't stress farming gold, because early on when you have a lot of unlocks, gold feels fairly scarce. But after you beat the final level of Capella Magna, and you unlock the Overkilled, you can overkill anything. This makes it far, far easier to farm thousands or hundreds of thousands of gold per run. So in short, as long as you're making progress, don't worry about stopping to farm and max everything out. You should only farm if you're struggling, because you will get so much more gold later that any time spent farming now, it's going to take a lot longer. And don't get me wrong, if you're having fun, go for it. But don't feel like you are going to be stuck farming just so you can max out your power-ups to beat the final boss. Now, if you do farm, how might you want to do it? Well, try to get a Midas Gem. This builds up gold as you play other cards. It's especially nice when comboed with the Retain Gem. Alternatively, the Coin Gem gives you coin wildcards each time you play the card it's socketed into. Both of these provide consistent income that should help you get past any of those stuck points, especially when combined with unlocking a powerful new crawler. And so, those are my thoughts on vampire crawlers. But now, I need your help. If you've played the game a lot, what tips and tricks would you recommend to new players? Alternatively, if you're a new player, what unanswered questions do you have? Be sure to put them down in the comments below. You may get an answer, or you may see the answer in a follow-up video, because if I got a lot of stuff, a lot of questions, or a lot of tips, I'll probably make an advanced tips and tricks video as well. For me personally, I've had a blast of a game. I ended up just crushing pretty much everything up to the first bridge, but I was like, oh, things are getting a bit harder here. From there, pretty smooth and steady progress. I don't think I lost like 10 times. It was more like 4, 5, maybe 6 or 7. So overall, pretty easy time, but I have a lot of experience with card games. I've played hundreds of hours of Slay the Spire, which, in my opinion, much harder game. And also, honestly, I wasn't coming to Vampire Crawlers for difficulty. I was coming to Vampire Crawlers to have a good time and unlock some stuff. But that's going to be it for me today. So, thank you very much for watching to the end. I'm glad you've enjoyed. If you want to see my thoughts on other games, maybe a deck builder like Slay the Spire 2, that'll be up in the card and down below. You can watch it after this. Alternatively, head over to my Steam Curator page. You can see my thoughts on pretty much every game that I play, whether it makes it into a video or not. That'll also be up in the card and down below, and of course, do be sure to follow it to keep up with everything I'm playing. For now, thanks again for watching to the end. Glad you enjoyed, good luck on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.